very excited to welcome our next guest. Representative Lee Snodgrass from the 52nd is joining us. Good morning, Representative. Thanks for making time for us.
Good morning, Jane. I'm so happy to be here.
Let's talk about a new measure aimed at tightening up on, buying people's votes.
Yeah, so I was very excited to introduce a bill with Green Bay rep, actually the 90th Assembly rep, Ahmad Rivera Wagner. This bill essentially kind of closes a loophole that we seem to have had that we didn't think we had to worry about, which is bribing people essentially to sign petitions during an election year. So when Elon Musk sort of changed his tune and said, "Oh, I'm not paying people to vote, I'm just paying people to sign a petition," we knew we had to do something to clarify Wisconsin law so that that can't happen.
So what he did was not technically illegal.
You know, it's one of those things that skirts within the lines, so to speak. He did change his language and said that he was not paying people to vote. But when you pay people to sign a petition that you then advertise as a way of collecting names to give away a huge check at a rally in support of a candidate, that seems kind of fishy to me. So we knew we needed to tighten that up.
What would this measure do, Representative Snodgrass?
Well, it would be during a campaign time, and a campaign time defined in the bill is when somebody can take out nomination signatures until the election day itself. So it would say within this campaign time, you cannot essentially incentivize somebody to sign or not sign a petition. So you think about something like, what Elon Musk did, you think about a recall petition, you think those things. We wanted to make sure that we were keeping people's right to free speech, but so that window, that campaign window is very important. It also, just to clarify, it says something of value that used to be in state statute as anything more than $1. And then we realized, you know what, costs are going up. Some of those signs cost more than $1 to produce. So we raised that to $5. So the bottom line is, if you cannot motivate people to come out and support your candidate on issues, on effort, on what they say they're going to accomplish, and you have to do it by motivating people with money, there's already a problem.
Yeah. And I feel like, I think we can all agree that this last election showed handily that the people of Wisconsin aren't going to fall for something like that. And resoundingly, too, just like the last Supreme Court election, a 10-point victory says that this state we want fairness. We don't want your money.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the biggest way that to see what people are feeling is the result of the polls, right? So we knew that this was something that people would want. We've had a lot of great feedback from it. Unfortunately, as with lots of things right now in Madison, it's going to be difficult to get Republican support on it. I just saw the bill draft came into my office. Not one Republican signed on to this. So this is my plea to them. I know you can't stand bribery as well. I know from talking to some of them individually that they're pretty fed up with campaign finance, and we need to have some campaign finance reform. This is a great first step that most people should be able to agree on.
Are they just so afraid of blowback that they can't put their names on this?
I could certainly speculate, and I would say that the individuals who I would still consider pretty moderate are hesitant to speak up, because I do think there's still threats from the president of the United States to put people into situations where they're up for re-election again and they're primaried. But at some point, I really loved what Tim Walz used to say, was that you don't hoard political capital, or you don't build political capital to hoard it, you build it to burn it. And if ever there was a time, you guys, I mean, the world is on fire and democracy is at risk. Let's burn that political capital and do the right thing.
This is something we talk about in the show. Every time we see a bill come out of Madison that's bipartisan, we sing the praises on the highest mountain, because it shows that the people in power can work together to move this state and its people forward. Whether it's expansion of Medicaid for new moms or other things we talk about, it's a bipartisan measure. Let's do it. You can take it back to your people and say, look what we did for you.
Right. Yeah, there used to be a small window last session. I felt like I had a great working relationship with Republican Rep Scott Krug. He and I did have a lot of bipartisan bills that we worked on together on that committee. But I'm going to be honest with you. If anything, I feel the culture has shifted towards less working together this session. I feel like
Mm.
because we picked up 10 seats as the Democratic caucus, there's a lot of like, we'll show you, we're not gonna play nice in the sandbox anymore. So while we all promised our constituents things would get better, it seems to me from personal experience that it's gotten a little worse.
Oh, great. We're all 5 now. That's just dandy.
Representative, one of the things that when you were on the show last a while ago too, one of the things you talked about, you were running, was knocking on the doors and getting out there and meeting the people and meeting all of the people, regardless of who they vote for, and having what I think is important to have during any tenure in office is good conversations, even with those who disagree. What are you hearing from the people in your district about this measure and their support? I have to imagine there are people who probably voted for Donald Trump who are like, yeah, I don't like this either. The people, I feel like, have a different voice than maybe the politicians are voting for.
Yeah, actually, that I'm really glad you asked that, because as a relatively public figure, when I go about my day, I always run into people I know, and of course, they want to talk to me about my job. And I was at the grocery store the other day, and this gentleman stopped me and he asked me if I was who I was. I said yes, and he's like, "Hey, you got that bribery bill, huh?" And I said, "Yep." I said, "What do you think about it?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't vote for you, but I like that bill." So, I mean, it does cross over.
Yes.
Nobody likes dishonesty. Nobody likes bribery. And Wisconsin showed that. So I don't understand what the resistance is from my Republican colleagues, but I'm gonna see if I can get some on board.
If you're just joining us, Representative Lee Snodgrass is here, and we're talking about a new measure aimed at shoring up state laws to prevent major political donors from just handing out checks to people who sign election-related petitions. As expected, someone on the live stream, yeah, I'll be more about this when the Democrats start condemning George Soros. It's always,
George Soros.
That poor guy, he gets labeled. I mean, man, the guy can't catch a break.
Bring out those greatest hits, folks.
But nobody mentions the U lines. Nobody mentions the other major, Diane Hendrickson. Those GOP donors never come up. It's only George Soros on the left.
And
I'd be
to
happy
be fair,
to address that.
okay, go ahead. Yes, please.
I will say 100%. I'm sick of it too. Let's talk about Citizens United. We also had the same week we introduced our bill. My colleagues in Madison were introducing a bill to repeal Citizens United. I agree with my Republican colleagues. We need to get money out of politics. If I had my way, the state would say, this is what you get for each race. And if you can't win by spending that, then you probably are not a good budgeter of money and you shouldn't be in office anyway. I mean, I wish we could get to that point, honestly. Nobody needs that money.
And for clarification, and I hate saying this because it's just with Citizens United, it's just the truth of the matter. This bill seeks to get rid of the loophole.
Right.
If Diane Hendricks, George Soros, if whomever, me, wants to give hundreds of millions of dollars in legal ways of dark money, they can still do all of that. You're not making a law saying they can't. You're simply just saying this one thing where someone says, hey, sign this petition, and you might win a big golf check. That's what you're trying to get rid of. This has less to do with George Soros than it does with bribery.
Absolutely. My bill is micro-focused on this particular issue that frankly was not a problem until the last presidential election. And then we saw a repeat of that kind of tactic in the spring. Honestly, we didn't have billionaires trying to flip elections in Wisconsin until now in that particular way. So this is a micro-focused bill on that particular thing. As terms of broader finance reform, campaign finance reform, I am all open. If my Republican colleagues want to bring a bill forward on that, I'd be happy to work with them on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. Just, I don't know, call me skeptical. But that would be great. I would love to see the end of Citizens United. Corporations are not people, and money isn't speech. That whole thing is a mess. But again, I find it hard to believe that many Republicans are going to say, yeah, this is wrong. We shouldn't do that. Even though I do think that the election of Susan Crawford over the Elon Musk pick was pretty indicative of where Wisconsin is across all party lines. Wisconsinites banded together in rejecting Elon Musk coming in and trying to buy it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the universality of that. People don't like cheats. And the minutia of that, when, we all, none of us like cheats. Republicans talk about people cheating on public benefits. Democrats talk about people cheating by billionaires not paying their taxes. Can we just focus on the fact that we all think cheating is bad and
Yep.
find some pathway to doing something?
And I would even take it one step further, showing the severe nature of Wisconsin's stubbornness, if you will, is that all of the politicians, the candidates who tried to run for governor or senate, who were millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaires, saying, "Oh, it's my turn, it's my time, that's my job, I'd like that." We're like, no, I might not like the Democrats but we're not going to take the person who just thinks they're owed the job. Wisconsinites are smarter than that, and they don't like cheats and they don't like carpetbaggers.
Yeah, Wisconsinites are workers. Honestly, I think that's why I get a lot of across the board support. People know I'm going to work my butt off for them. I mean, I'm a regular person. I have a part-time job as a server. I work at a garden center in the spring. You know, people know that they might not agree with my positions, but I'm going to dig down and I'm going to work for them.
Representative, we've only got about a minute and a half left. I'm just curious, when you were considering running, was the issue of money something that could have stopped you from running? Because you have to raise so much cash now.
You know, every single candidate, Republican and Democrat alike, complain about the amount of time we have to spend on the phone dialing for dollars. Just think about spending that time door to door, talking to people individually. None of us really want that. Unfortunately, that's the system it's in. But now that I'm in the system and I'm on campaigns and elections, I feel there's an opportunity to change it. I just need some partners to come with me and do it.
I think you would get a whole lot of support, again, getting rid of Citizens United and having set amounts depending upon what race you are running in. Here's your money. Let's see how far you can make it go. I think that's a great idea. Don't stop. Representative Lee Snodgrass has been our guest. Thank you so very, very much for your time, Representative. We really appreciate it.
It's so nice to join you. Thank you.